Welcome to the Lincoln City Council meeting of December 20th, 2021. In accordance with LB 898, please be advised that a copy of the Opens Meeting Act is posted at the back of the chamber by the northwest door. Let us all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief period of silent meditation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The order of business of the City Council is as follows. The clerk will call the items listed on the agenda. Under public hearing, anyone wishing to speak on an item should come forward after the clerk reads that item. The council shall require any member of the public desiring to address the council to identify their names, themselves, name of an organization or group, including an address that you may be representing by such person or group, unless the address requirement is waived to protect the security of the individual. The applicant may then make one short rebuttal. Each speaker should begin by stating their name, address, organization, or group, and whether you are speaking in favor of or in opposition to the item. Testimony is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. After all public hearings, the council will vote on resolutions and items listed under third reading. On the second and last Mondays of the month, immediately prior to adjournment, anyone may speak on any issue not on the agenda for that date, nor planned for a future agenda. Will the clerk please call the first item of business?
Our first item of business for council meeting on Monday, December 20th, 2021 is a notice due to the Christmas and New Year holidays. City Council will not meet on December 27th, 2021 and January 3rd, 2022. Next would be sections 1 and 2 of our consent agenda.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on items 1 or 2?
Hi, good evening. My name is Denise Pierce, and I'm the Special Projects Administrator for the Lincoln Parks and Recreation Department.
Yay.
Thank you. And we are here tonight to introduce 3 new candidates to 2 boards that we work with in the Parks Department. Our first appointment is to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. That's a 16-member body that advises the department and elected officials on all things Parks and Rec related. We are very excited to welcome new candidate Jessica Boren to the board. She is here this evening, and I'm going to invite her up in just a few moments. The other 2 candidates that we'd also like to welcome are to our Veterans Memorial Garden Advisory Council. This is an 11-member board that advises the department on the maintenance and then also programming at the Veterans Memorial Garden, which is, of course, in Antelope Park. And we are looking forward to inviting Alexandria Evers and Thomas Blanton to joining the council. And both of them are here this evening as well. So Ms. Boren, Ms. Evers, and Mr. Blanton will follow me with a few words of introduction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessica Boren. I'm in the Lincoln community since 2008. I'm here from Brazil. I moved here with my family, and I currently work as the state director for the statewide Family Engagement Center, where I implement family literacy for refugee and immigrant communities across the state of Nebraska. This past weekend, I graduated my master's in the Child and Youth and Family Studies with a specialization in, international families, and I really am excited to use the skills that I have learned to contribute to this community and the work that Parks and Rec has been doing this last few years. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from the council at this time? Thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Alexandria Evers. New to Nebraska, came from DC, and I am very excited to serve on the Veterans Memorial Garden Advisory Council. I'm a graduate of Spelman College and Georgetown University. I have dedicated my academic and professional career to serving the veteran community. I feel like it's a wonderful fit. Several publications working with the VA and veteran service organizations on behalf of veterans.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from the council? Okay, thank you for your willingness to serve.
Hello, my name is Thomas Blanton. I work for the Department of Veterans Affairs in real life. A few months ago, I decided I didn't know enough about local government, and I started volunteering with some civics groups. And through those groups, I learned about this opportunity. I'm really excited to serve on the board, and if you have any questions, I can answer any.
Are there any questions at this time? Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. I'm Mickey Esposito with the Mayor's Office, and I am delighted about Kim Morrow's nomination to serve on the Lincoln Electric System Administrative Board. Kim is the Director of Climate Planning and Resilience at Veritas Group. Her expertise includes climate action and resilience planning, as well as sustainability master planning and implementation. As you know, she led the city through our resiliency planning efforts and adoption of the Lincoln Climate Action Plan, the first of its kind in the state of Nebraska. She is trained as a minister with over a decade working at the intersections of climate change, social justice, and community sustainability. She was honored at the Obama White House in 2015 as a champion of change for her efforts on climate change with faith communities. So I'd like to please welcome Kim to make a few remarks about this board appointment.
Thank you, Mickey. Good evening. I am really excited to be nominated to serve on the LES board as someone who has worked on these issues at the intersection of energy, emissions, and climate for many years. It would be a great privilege for me to apply my passion and expertise to the work of the LES board. As you may know, the electricity industry is undergoing a historic transformation, and I'm excited about the opportunity to contribute to LES's strategic vision at this time. I'm also excited to continue working with LES leadership to further the goals for achieving Lincoln's climate smart future. And I'm also excited to continue working with city officials and city staff on all of the amazing climate and sustainability work our community is doing. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the council? Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you for your willingness to serve.
Good afternoon, council members. Terry Cathy with the Department of Building and Safety. I'm here to introduce Hugh Seek as the newest member of the Examining Board of Plumbers. The board's responsible for determining required qualifications, establishing testing and grading procedures, and approving all classifications of registered master plumbers. Hugh has nearly 30 years of experience as a mechanical engineer, and we are very pleased that he's willing to volunteer his time and expertise to serve in the important role. And with that, I'll allow Hugh to introduce himself.
Hello, I am Hugh Seek. I have a family business here in Lincoln, H&S Plumbing. We've been in business about 47 years, and I'm excited to serve on the examining board for plumbers. We have a ever maturing workforce, and finding those young people who are excited to get into the trades continues to be a big problem for the industry right now. So I see this as an opportunity to help kind of inspire some of the younger workers to say, hey, this is a good opportunity for you guys to have a great career, become a registered plumber, and make a living of it. So I am happy to serve and do my part to help out. Any questions?
Are there any questions from the council? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Liz Elliott, Director of Lincoln Transportation Utilities. I just wanted to come up and briefly talk on 1G, which is the modification to the TIP program. This is actually just a fiscal modification. This is for purchasing of buses, a total of 14 buses, 11 CNG, 3 electric, and 2 charging stations. These are in the CIP, but they're in the out years between 2022 through 2024. We are lucky enough to have received some CARES and ARP money that we are able to advance this earlier and purchase them this year. So this will allow us to do a purchase order now and hopefully have the buses 12 to 18 months if everything goes correctly, but just a fiscal change. The items were already in the tip, so thank you.
Are there any questions from the council?
Yes.
Okay, seeing none.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. All right, is there anyone that would like, anyone else that would like to speak on items 1 or 2? Anyone else that would like to speak on any of the items for 1 or 2? Mr.
I do have a
McGinnis?
quick question for our director. Elliot?
Sorry.
Let's then remove this expenses from future CIP.
For the buses?
Yes.
It will, essentially, yes, since we're purchasing them now, they'll be moved over and they won't, that money we will be able to allot for other things, probably future vehicles as well, but.
Okay, but
can be
we will still
utilized for
have this
something else.
expenditure on the books for the future. We
I
still
will-
will expend in cash.
I'll have to double check with the finance office on how that is reflected in the future years, but it should, the actual expenditure will be this fiscal year, and so it should be removed from out years. Yeah. So it won't show up in the out years, it'll all come out of this year.
Okay, so we're amending the CIP, is that correct?
Let me double check. I'm gonna have to double check on, and Mike's here. So Mike Davis, transit manager, may have the details on this one. I apologize, I don't know how it looks.
Yeah, so the funds were, or the vehicles were being purchased in the 2 future years. Those will be purchased this year. And so those dollar amounts will be removed from the future years and put into this year. And so this is a modification of those budgets to reflect that using CARES Act funding.
Okay. And so we don't need to amend the CIP or?
There's 2 things that happen. The TIP is amended, and this is also an amendment to the CIP, is my understanding.
And that's the part I'm gonna have to double check with David Carey or the finance office to see if there has to be a subsequent, see, we have all the experts in the
Yeah,
room.
I was just,
So,
I was waiting for him.
I'm
That's
not
who
sure
I
if we have to
really
do a
wanted to talk to.
subsequent CIP amendment.
David Carey with the Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. This is effectively a budget amendment, and because the item is already in the CIP, there's not a need to amend the CIP itself. It's more of it's a budget spending amendment is what it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council?
No.
Nope. Okay, thank you so much. Is there anyone
I do
else?
have one more. Is this something that needs to be voted on now? Is it under contract or is it?
If the sooner we get it approved, the sooner we can get the requisitions for the buses, the sooner we'll get them. So obviously delays with the supply chain demands and building these buses, because they're not just out on a lot somewhere. It will delay that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Thanks so much. All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak on items 1 or 2? Anyone else that would like to speak on items 1 or 2? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
We can now vote on these items. Item 1A is appointing Jessica Boren to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for a term to expire April 27th, 2024. Introduced by Ward.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may you please call the roll?
Ward.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 1B is reappointing Chelsea Johnson and David Spinar to the Lincoln Electric System Administrative Board for terms to expire December 31st, 2024. Introduced by Washington.
So moved by McGinnis.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second. That's my fault, sorry.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Shob. Any discussion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
Did Ward second that
No,
motion?
Benny did.
Tammy, okay. Thank you.
He
Ward?
distracted Ward.
Ward,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 1C is appointing Kimberly Morrow to the Lincoln Electric System Administrative Board for a term to expire December 31st, 2024, introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Ward. Any discussion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
Ward,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 1D is appointing Hugh Seek to the Examining Board of Plumbers for a term expiring February 1st, 2023, introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
McGinnis,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 1E is appointing Thomas Blanton to the Veterans Memorial Garden Advisory Council for a term expiring November 1st, 2022, introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
McGinnis,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 1F is appointing Alexandria Evers to the Veterans Memorial Garden Advisory Council for a term expiring November 1st, 2023, introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
Ward,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 1G is Modification of Transportation Improvement Program, introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Ward,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 1H is approving the professional services agreement between the city and WSP USA, Inc. for preliminary engineering services for the A Street between 40th and 56th Streets Rehabilitation Project, introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
Shob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 1I is approving the professional service agreement between the city and WSP USA, Inc. for the environmental services for the A Street between 40th and 56th Streets Rehabilitation Project, introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
McGinnis,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 1J is approving the distribution of funds representing interest earnings on short-term investments of idle funds during the month ended October 31st, 2021, introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
Ward,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Items 2A and 2B were introduced by Shob.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
Ward,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Okay. That concludes our consent agenda. We'll move on to section 4, our public hearing liquor resolutions. Item 4A is manager application of Paula J. Verlick for the HQR LLC, doing business as Paisanos, located at 2740 South Street.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this item?
Paisanos.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next one.
I'll be calling items 4B and 4C together. Application of 48 Ventures LLC, doing business as Bar 48 for a Class C liquor license, located at 2639 North 48th Street, and the related manager application of Morgan R. Winkler.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this item?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth as you verily believe it to be?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
You just want to start off with your name and address, and then tell us a little bit about your application.
Yeah, I'm Harry Watson, 9631 South 31st.
Morgan Winkler, 3930 South 33rd.
So would you like to just speak about your application a little bit?
We're just opening a small little bar on North 48th there, about 48th and St. Paul. It's just a small, it's like 1,600 square feet. It won't have a full kitchen, just like a warming kitchen, because we already have a catering kitchen that we cater food out of, so we're just going to cater food in that establishment from maybe like 4 to 8 or something like that.
Perfect.
Small menu.
Are there any questions from the council at this time? All right, seeing none, welcome. Oh,
I was going to ask, which corner of 48th and St. Paul?
It's not on the corner. It's about 3 businesses to the south of St. Paul on the west side.
Okay.
So it goes like, there's like a coffee shop and then a coin shop and then
you?
our place and then a tattoo place.
I was just.
Yeah, it's not on the corner.
Thank you, yeah. We're good.
any other questions from the council? Okay, seeing none, thanks so much, and welcome to Northeast Lincoln.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this application? Okay, seeing none, yeah? Okay. All right, seeing no one else to speak on item 4B or 4C, we'll move on to the next one.
I'll be calling items 4D and 4E together. Application of Dead Presidents Group LLC, doing business as Lincoln's Pub, Dag Shack Franco's Fresh Mexican for a Class C liquor license located at 4630 Layton Avenue, and the related manager application of Sean P. Mann.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, Mike Kelly, 2804 South 87th Avenue in Omaha, here with the Mr. Mann and the others who are part of the Dead Presidents Club, they're going to have a restaurant, that's the plan, with your approval, and there'll be, I believe, three food venues in the same restaurants. So it's kind of a unique concept. I think it'll be a good addition to Lincoln, and we're here for any other questions that you might have.
Are there
or any
any
presentation they'd like to make.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that y'all want
to? Just that we're excited to expand into the Lincoln community. We opened up Lincoln's Pub in Council Bluffs, Iowa about 3 years ago this time, and this is our first store expansion, and we're excited to be here.
Madam Clerk, did I miss something?
Can I swear you in real quickly?
Yes.
Even though you made your testimony just a formality, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you just gave is the truth as you really believe?
I do.
Thank you.
Are there any questions from the council? Councilman Cho?
So this is in the apartment complex on the northwest corner of that intersection?
Correct.
And you'll just be on the first floor of that?
Correct.
Thank you. Yep.
I also wanted to say something that we are aware of UNL's East Campus there and also Westland's campus as well. So we will be IDing everybody. We will be selling alcohol very responsible, and we will make sure that we follow all guidelines in selling responsible alcohol. So just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Awesome. Another Northeast Lincoln place to try out. It's
yes.
The theme of the night. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak on item 4D or 4E? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
I'll be calling items 4F through 4K together. Application of De Leon's Taco Rico, Inc., doing business as De Leon's Taco Rico for a Class C liquor license located at 901 North 48th Street, and the related manager application of Jose A. Diaz De Leon, Jr. Also, application for De Leon's Taco Rico, Inc., doing business as De Leon's Taco Rico for the Class C liquor license for the location located at 824 South 27th Street, and the related manager application of Jose A. Diaz De Leon, Sr., and De Leon's Taco Rico for a Class C liquor license located at 3045 North 70th Street, and the related manager application for that location of Jose A. Diaz De Leon, Jr.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this item from De Leon's? Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to, from De Leon's, that would like to speak? Okay. Seeing none, is there anyone here that would like to speak? Director Carey?
Do we hear from staff? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
David Carey, Director of the Planning Department. Thank you for your time. When a point of clarification on this to tell you that the staff recommends that you deny items 4H and 4I related to this. And the reason for that is that the location of that De Leon's is only about 84 feet separated from a residential zoning district, and one of our local zoning regulations for the sale of alcohol on premise is a separation of that sort. So because they would have to come through us to get the special permit anyways, we are recommending denial of those two pieces of this, but recommending approval of the other De Leon's.
Are there any questions for Director Carey? Okay, seeing none, thanks so much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on items 4F through 4K? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
I'll be calling items 4L and 4M together. Application of Asian 88 Fusion Inc., doing business as Asian Fusion for a Class I liquor license located at 2840 Jamie Lane, and the related manager application of May R. Chen.
Hi, this is Marion Chen. I'm owner Asian Fusion by 2840 Jamie Lane.
I'm going to swear you in. Can you
sorry.
please raise your right hand? It's okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth as you really believe it to be?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Heidi Behrens, and I'm just here in support for Jenny for the language barrier. But Myung just purchased Asian Fusion from her brother, and so we're just needing a new liquor license under her name. She's been managing the restaurant since its initial inception in 2013.
Are there any questions from the council at this time?
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on items 4L or 4M? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
I'll be calling item 4N, application of HCJ LLC, doing business as Bourbon Street by Single Barrel for a change in location of their existing Class C liquor license from 350 Canopy Street, Suite 120 to 801R Street, Unit 3.
Is there anyone that would like to speak on item 4N? Is there anyone that would like to speak on item 4N? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I would like to make two motions as far as the liquor applications. I'd like to start with a motion to deny for items 4H and 4I. That's 21R-608 and 21R-609.
I would second that motion.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion?
We're going to, as advised by Mr. Carey, those are located too close to a neighborhood to be granted a special permit, so I think we should just go ahead and stop now.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Ward?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0.
Mr. Chair, with your permission, I'd like to make a motion to approve items 4A through 4G and items 4J through 4N.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Schob?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0.
Perfect. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item.
Our next section of the agenda is Section 5, Public Hearing Resolutions. I'll be calling item 5A, miscellaneous 21012, application of the Urban Development Director declaring the Northwest 48th Street redevelopment area generally bounded by West Wilkins Street on the north, Northwest 57th Street on the west, and West Holdridge Street on the south, and Northwest 48th Street and Northwest 40th Street on the east as blighted and substandard.
Could we combine that with the next item as well? Would that be? That's the extreme.
That works for me if that's okay with
You want to go ahead and
the
read
city
that
clerk.
then?
Yep. I'll also read in item 5B, miscellaneous 21013, application of Urban Development Director to declare approximately 815 acres generally bounded by West Wilkins Street on the north, Northwest 57th Street on the west, West Holdridge Street on the south, and Northwest 48th Street and Northwest 40th Street on the east as extremely blighted as set forth in the extremely blighted determination study.
Good evening. Dan Marvin, Urban Development Director, 555 South 10th Street. I have on the Elmo, which might come up here, kind of a map of the area that we're talking about. I think council's very familiar with this map. This was an item that we had brought through earlier, and we went back through Planning Commission, amended and changed the scope of the area for a number of different reasons. One, there was sensitivity to an area that was brought in on the original map that was in the northern area, and then there were developers that had interest in being able to join into the mapped area that were not part of the original proposal, so we had to go back through Planning Commission to provide a changed area. Now, the reason we are doing the extreme blight issue is because in 2019, the legislature passed LB 86, and LB 86 in areas that were extremely blighted provided, and I'll zoom in here, some key features for homeowners, which is that if you own a property that is in the extremely blighted area, you can avail yourself of a $5,000 state of Nebraska tax credit. If you are, if you acquire the property in an extremely blighted area, if you acquire it before the date of 2026, and if you make that your primary residence. And also, the state provided a law that says you can't acquire it from a relative, so it has to be a arm's length transaction. There's a tax form that's out there that people can fill out called the 1040N-EB for extremely blighted, which allows a person to apply for the tax credit. Page 2 of that application form shows the process by which you were to do that. And Tim C. in our office did contact the state of Nebraska. And I think the contact that we got back from the state of Nebraska, the last paragraph says the Department of Revenue has determined that an individual purchasing a residence prior to the area being declared an extremely blighted area would qualify if the area was declared extremely blighted, an extremely blighted area during the same taxable year as the purchase, regardless of the order of the events take place, as long as the other requirements under Nebraska Section 772715.077 have been met, which are those provisions that I just went through. Have to live in the residence, has to be an arm's length transaction, and has to be an area that was been declared extremely blighted. So, long-winded way of getting to, if we approve this as extremely blighted, it's our opinion that those residents, and we think there are about 70 residents up in that area who have purchased a home this year, would qualify for the extremely blighted tax credit. The only difference between the extremely blighted area is our extremely blighted area stays within the city limits. There aren't homes in this area, but we did include this in the blighted area because we do have a developer that has an interest in using blight to clean up some title issues that they have in there, to the degree that at some point in the future we could expand it as that became annexed in and would avail itself of extremely blighted. We can redo a study map, but we didn't at this time want to include that. We also have, council has received communication from Andrew Willis, who represents a client who wanted to be able to do an affordable housing project in the area. That would be, actually don't exactly know the location, but I believe that it's in the area over in this part of the extremely blighted designated area. And I think that while this has taken some time to get it here, I think that we've accomplished many of the goals that we set out for at first. We wanted to be able to provide opportunities for affordable housing, and I think that we've done that. And we've also been able to provide the $5,000 tax credit for the individuals up in that area. And if we act on it as a resolution today, we'll have been able to do it before the end of the year. I'll answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Director Marvin? Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak on item 5A or 5B?
Good evening, council members. Andrew Willis, 233 South 13th Street. Yeah, Director Marvin already mentioned. I'm in support of this blight and substandard designation. My clients have an option to purchase certain property right on where he identified, northeast corner of Northwest 48th Street and Holdridge. They are ready to go and excited to do a housing project, multifamily housing, and that would include affordable housing. Again, it's total. This is all. It's about 300 units total. We're looking at the phase 1, 137 units, and about half of those would be affordable, 60 to 80% AMI. All things going. Now, so we're looking at moderate income housing, but it's just simply not possible without tax increment financing. It's possible that could go forward as housing, but it would not be affordable. It might not even be able to go forward at all, but it's crucial to make this specific project. Obviously, the blight and substandard designation is bigger than this, but at least I wanted to speak in favor, because this would really, it's a key point to my clients being able to move forward with this project, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Are there any questions? Councilman Show?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Wilson, would you do those numbers again? Phase 1 was...
So phase 1 would be 137 units roughly, and about half of those are targeted right now. Still working out the details, and obviously we need this to come forward, but about half of those would be targeted at being affordable for moderate income, 60 to 80% of AMI. Possibly more. Again, it just kind of depends on how the TIF works out, but that's where kind of what we're looking at as a minimum phase 1, and probably very similar in the phase 2. 300 units total.
That's exciting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? Is there anyone else that would like to speak on 5A or 5B? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
I'll be calling item 5C is assessing the cost incurred for cutting, clearing, and removing weeds against the various benefited properties for the period of November 1st, 2020 through October 31st, 2021.
Well, good evening, Chair Bowers and council members. These are just the assessments for the weed abatement for this growing season that have not been paid to this point. And I can just let you know that originally we've done just a little over $54,500 worth of work this year. And what you're assessing tonight is just a little under $28,000. So we did have a good collection year. For some reason, a lot of the liens were paid before they had to come before you, but these are the ones that just haven't been paid to this point. And I'd answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Is there anyone that would like to speak on item 5C? Is there anyone that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
Item 5D is a resolution to update and clarify the timeline for the preparation of and approval of the city's biennial budget.
Members of the council, David Young, Finance Department, thank you for the opportunity. Over the last few weeks, we've met individually with all the councilors and talked about the budget process as it's written right now. It had 2018, there were specific dates put in. And so the amendment before you takes out the specific dates and puts in before April 15th, before June 15th, basically making the budget process go forward in perpetuity regardless of year. We've also added very specifically a mid-year budget review for all finances for the city and county before April 15th of every year, and then just cleaned up the process. We think that the addition of the mid-year budget review process will help the council and make budget decisions going into the future and increases transparency. Thank you very much for all of your feedback on this process, and we hope that you would support this change.
Are there any questions for Councilman McGinnis?
Yes, I thank you for working on this and getting it put together. As you know, some of us were a little frustrated on the past budget. way we did it and the way we had to do certain things at certain times. So this, I think, really cleans it up and makes it a little streamlined. So thank you. One question I would like to, if this does pass tonight, would you be willing to put something up on a website, putting these dates out there as soon as we can?
Very
so
quickly.
the public will know what they are.
Yeah, yes, we would.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Director Young? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on item 5D? Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
We can now vote on these items. Item 5A is miscellaneous 21012, application of the Urban Development Director declaring the Northwest 48th Street redevelopment area generally bounded by West Wilkins Street on the north, Northwest 57th Street on the west, West Holdridge Street on the south, and Northwest 48th Street and Northwest 40th Street on the east as blighted and substandard. Introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Ward.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 5B is miscellaneous 21013, application of Urban Development Director to declare approximately 815 acres generally bounded by West Wilkins Street on the north, Northwest 57th Street on the west, West Holdridge Street on the south, and Northwest 48th Street on the northwest, 40th Street on the east as extremely blighted, as set forth in the extremely blighted determination study, introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Councilwoman Ward?
Thank you. I want to just reiterate a few things that Director Marvin said and go ahead and thank Director Marvin and Tim C. and other city staff that have worked on this for about, I think we've been on this for about 6 months this year. So I appreciate all the work that's been done and the patience that's been exercised by the council to get to where we are today. Andrew Willis, thanks for being here this evening and explaining your project to us. That's very exciting, and we're glad to hear that and to get to this point as well. The development community's been really patient with this process. You know, all along the summer when we started this, we've all wanted the same thing, and I am so happy that we are to this point tonight. We have a lot of work to do. What I was going through my file before the meeting, and I pulled out a couple headlines I just wanted to remind us all about. One was written by the editorial board at the Lincoln newspaper in July that said Lincoln can craft a win-win for the 9 Mile development. And so I'm really pleased to say that that has happened, and it does take time, and it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of patience, so I'm so grateful for that. And another headline on a front page in early July said give and take, and there's been a lot of that, and again, I think we should all be really proud of that hard work and due diligence that's been done, because it's not easy. And I did speak to Don Nelson, who was here earlier, on behalf of the 9 Mile Prairie Advocates. They're also very happy, and so I'm just grateful that we're at this point that we are today and this evening. So thanks to all of those that have done so much work. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for those comments. Seeing no further discussion, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Ward.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 5C is assessing the cost incurred for cutting, clearing, and removing weeds against the various benefited properties for the period of November 1st, 2020 through October 31st, 2021, introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
I actually have a motion to amend on this item.
Yep, I have it.
And I can read this if you'd like. It's the motion to amend for Bill Number 21R589 to introduce adopting a substitute attachment A.
Okay. Mr. Chair, may I ask Mr. Christie to come up and help me understand?
Absolutely.
Chauncey Christie, City Attorney, 555 South 10.
Mr. Christie, thank you very much for coming forward. I think the clerk read this as a substitute amendment, which usually is just something where we have to clean up something or there was an error or an omission. Is that all we're looking at here? Is this amendment just a sub?
Correct. It is my understanding that since the information was submitted to the council, some payments were received, and so they were removed from the list. So this motion to amend reflects those adjustments.
Thank you very much. That's very helpful. I do appreciate that.
Any further questions? Councilman McGinnis?
No, I think, yeah, that's pretty clear because the original motion had a total of over 31,000 that was going to be collected. Now it's less, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Do we still need a motion? I can't remember.
Yes, I need a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the motion to amend.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion on the motion to amend? Seeing none, may we please call roll on the motion to amend?
Ward,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0.
Okay, now back to the main motion. Any discussion on the main motion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll on the main motion?
Ward,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 5D is a resolution to update and clarify the timeline for the preparation and approval of the city's biennial budget, introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. That concludes our public hearing resolutions. We'll move on to Section 6, Public Hearing Ordinances, Second Reading and Related Resolutions. Item 6A is approving the lease agreement between City and Rex and Jane Raymer for lease of office space by Aging Partners for its personal and family services program located at 370 North 5th Street, David City, for a term of 1 year from September 1st, 2021 through August 31st of 2022.
Good afternoon, council members. Randall Jones, Director of Aging Partners, 10050 Street. This is one of our traditional annual lease arrangements. We asked the landlord to consider a 2-year, and he was not willing at this time, but is willing to consider it when we reterm it. It's for rental space in David City, and funds from the state of Nebraska go to pay for the rent. Any questions?
Are there any questions at this time? Okay,
Thank you.
Seeing that, thank you so much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
Item 6B is approving the lease agreement between the City of Lincoln and the Airport Authority of the City of Lincoln, Nebraska for the lease of buildings 2690 and 2699, Bays 1, 2, and 3 by the City of Lincoln Bureau of Fire Preventions for the storage of equipment and materials for a 3-year term from October 31st, 2021 through September 30th, 2024.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this item? Anyone here that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
Item 6C is change of zone 21049, application of Dow Properties LLC for a change from B1, the local business district, to R4 residential district on property generally located at 6537, 6541, and 6601 and 6607 Burlington Ave.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this item?
David Carey with the Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. I will just kind of give a quick overview of this to make sure that it's on the record. This is a very straightforward change of zone that the planning staff and the planning commission recommend approval of. This basically makes the change of zone from B1 to R4, and that makes sense because of the predominant pattern on the south side of Burlington Ave is residential. And also what this does is it cleans up the map a little bit. I will note that even though there is industrial zoning on the north side, which we would normally not necessarily want residential that's close to industrial, what this change does is it lowers the amount of allowed units than what otherwise would be allowed in B1. So it is going in the right direction. So that's really what's before you, and we recommend approval.
Are there any questions for Director Carey? I'm going to ramble for 2 seconds. So when I was growing up, I remember that there was like this kind of like candy store over on the end of that block, and this is that same block, right? Because I saw that they had tore down that. It was a landmark in Havelock for what it's worth. And anyways, I'll be done. But no, I remember driving by that all the time and seeing it, and it was just a good reminder. And I was a little sad to see it be taken down because it was just a good memory. Thank you for indulging me.
Thank you.
But housing.
But yeah, is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item?
New members.
Allow R4 next to I-1.
Anyone else like to speak on this item?
And I asked for it.
Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
Item 60 is text amendment 21010, request of planning director to amend the Lincoln Municipal Code sections 27.02260, 27.72020, 27.72070, and figure 27.67.020 to clarify changes from the affordable housing text amendment package related to corner, front yard, and parking requirements in O3 and B3, and repealing same sections of the Lincoln Municipal Code as hereto existing.
David Carey with the Planning Department. Thank you for some time tonight on this. This item, this text amendment is truly a cleanup item. What we have experienced, this is based on the package that came before you and you approved a few months ago. It is a good package of changes, and we're happy to have that on the record now and to use them. What happened is we had two kind of like typo errors actually that were found out after the approval. One is to provide a parking ratio for multifamily in the B3. We needed to fix that. And then we needed to remove an extra dot in the parking table for the O3 section for dwellings. And then we also are clarifying how to handle the new corner lot front yard aspect of this. This was a way to make the corner lots in residential districts a little bit easier to build on and more flexible. With the first few that came through for approval, we found that there were some kind of gray areas that this clarifies how to handle them more clearly. So that's what we needed to do on that part. So with that, I can answer any questions you might have, but we do recommend approval.
Are there any questions for Director Carey? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
I'll be calling items 6E, F, and G together, approving the Centerpoint South Street redevelopment agreement between the city and Centerpoint South Street Project LLC relating to the acquisition, rehabilitation, and renovation of Traybert Hall, generally located at South 11th Street and South Street, and amending the fiscal year 21-22 CIP to authorize and appropriate $575,000 increment finance, seeing for the Centerpoint Street redevelopment project, and authorizing the issuance of tax allocation bonds for the Centerpoint South Street redevelopment project in the amount not to exceed $575,000.
Good evening, Dan Marvin, Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. I want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, because this last time I will be before you, I think, for this year. This is really an exciting project, and I think the people that are really best to speak to this would be Tom Houston or Mr. Hanson, but this project will provide affordable housing, but it will provide much more than just affordable housing. It will provide services, and it will provide affordable housing at levels that we haven't really brought to this body before very often. A lot of times we speak in terms of 60% area median income, which is a worthwhile goal. And Mayor's office did get an email and said, you know, are we really working on anything that provides affordable housing for people at lower incomes than that? And this project does do that. So it's a phenomenal project, and it's gone through urban design. It's been reviewed from urban design. It's gone through planning commission. It's gone through all of the different processes that we want to be able to check off as gotten approval, and it's received that. They've worked with the neighbors. It's really been a phenomenal project, and without any further ado, I'll let Mr. Houston come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Marvin. Members of the council, my name is Tom Houston. I think this is the last public hearing of the year, so I'm honored to be here. The three items in front of you, my address is 233 South 13th Street, Suite 1900. Appearing before you today on behalf of Centerpoint South Street Project LLC, which is an affiliate of Centerpoint, the nonprofit. Obviously with me is Topher Hansen, the Chief Executive Officer and President of Centerpoint. The three items on your agenda relate to the redevelopment agreement, which is 21R-591, the CIP amendment, which is 21R-592, and then the bond ordinance, which is 21-168. I mention that because two of the items on your agenda are resolutions. Normally, you would have the opportunity to vote on those at second reading. And I'm going to ask you to waive third reading tonight on the bond ordinance, and I mean it this week. Less so last week, but this week I really do mean it because this is the last meeting of the year, and exciting news, we're done with everything else. This is the last piece of the puzzle to put together for us on the financing. Centerpoint acquired Trayvord Hall in February of 2019. That's almost 3 years that we've been working on this project to put the financing together, working with the architects for the design and the planning and all the applications for the financing during a pandemic, which was not easy to do. Ultimately, what we will have is a renovation of this structure with a new entryway, which you can see on the overhead. It's really to the north and the east of the building. It's a 5-story structure. The garden level is about 4 feet below grade. The first floor is about 8 feet above grade, which obviously is an ADA problem for this kind of facility. But this new entryway will allow us to make it ADA accessible for all levels, and with new stair towers and new elevators going into the facility. The project cost is roughly $24 million at this point during the pandemic, which because I read an article today that said materials and construction costs are roughly 23% above pre-pandemic levels, and we've experienced it with this project, but we've been able to get the financing put together to make it work. Of the 5 stories, the top 2 levels, we had to condominiumize this structure to separate the residential ownership, which is owned by our limited liability company, and that's located on floors 3 and 4, and then the garden level, which is below grade, and the first floor and second floor. Those 3 levels will be owned by Centerpoint as the nonprofit, and will provide the clinical and medical and office uses that are necessary to support this facility. And the clinical and medical uses will be providing physical and mental health services for the neighborhood, the region, the city, et cetera. It's an exciting project from that perspective. As I mentioned, I think I've told you before, this is the most complicated financing I've seen in my work in doing affordable housing, because we did layer together six sources of financing. We have a conventional construction loan that's we closed that last week. And that's approximately $9 million. We have an affordable housing trust fund loan from the Department of Economic Development in the state of Nebraska for $3.1 million. We have an affordable housing program loan from the Federal Home Loan Bank Board of $750,000. We have low-income housing tax credit. We have affordable housing tax credit, and went through the application process with the Nebraska Investment Finance Authority to qualify for that tax credit equity. We have a capital campaign that Centerpoint is just in the first stages of, but it's been successful thus far, that will really help build the medical and the clinical aspects of the project. And then the last piece is the tax increment financing. The redevelopment agreement that's in front of you does provide for tax increment financing of $575,000. Now, you would think it's a $24 million project, why we have such a low TIF number, and it's because the residential units on floors 3 and 4, the only taxable portion, really. And there's a little bit of a community services facility, and we have a statute in the state of Nebraska that requires valuation of affordable housing projects based upon their income potential, and it's not very high in this kind of project. So, but every little piece of financing helps, especially when you're trying to put this kind of project together. So I can tell you right now, the demolition on the interior is just about completed, and the construction of the balance of it. We did have a ribbon cutting, or we did have a groundbreaking. When we plan to have a ribbon cutting probably about a year from now, that residential units are required to be done and placed into service, which is a technical Internal Revenue Code term, but they are required to be placed into service, meaning occupied. And we can occupy it probably quicker than any other project, because this project is sorely needed. The 32 units of affordable housing will provide housing for a lot of the residents will make no more than 10% or 5% of the area median income, and this is a sorely needed project. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I would ask that you waive third reading on the bond ordinance so we can get all three items passed tonight, so we can put all the financing behind us and move forward with the construction.
Are there any questions for Mr. Houston?
I was also going to show you this is what it's going to look like. The architects have done a marvelous job, I'm of the opinion.
No, you answered my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak on these items? Anyone else that would like to speak on item 6E, 6F, or 6G? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on. Oh, Councilman Shob?
We won't be coming back to public hearing. Do we need to take action on this section now? Mr. Houston asked us to waive.
Yeah,
Or do we wait till later?
Now would be an appropriate time if someone wanted to make that motion.
Question then for legal
Yeah.
first. I think you pointed out, I think the rule to suspend rules.
Yes, unfortunately, at least maybe fortunately at times, but unfortunately, Rule 3.27, 5 votes are required for suspension of the rules. And the way that the rule is written, it does not contemplate majority. It specifies 5 votes are required.
Oh.
So we would be unable at this point to suspend rules tonight
though we
without
want to.
5 votes.
Correct. 5 votes are needed.
Fudge.
Okay. That's what we needed to know.
All right, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. It's too bad.
Okay, all right, we'll go ahead and move on. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item then.
That concludes our public hearing. We can move on to section 7.
I forgot all about it.
Item 7A is approving the Antelope Square Apartments redevelopment agreement between Invest Lincoln AV LLC and the city relating to the redevelopment of property generally located on the block bounded by North 22nd Street, North 23rd Street, Q Street, and P Street, and nearby right-of-way of parkland, introduced by Ward.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Schob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried, 4-0. Item 7B is amending the fiscal year 21-22 CIP to authorize and appropriate $5,500,000 in tax increment financing for the Antelope Square Apartments redevelopment project, introduced by Ward.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Schob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried, 4-0. Item 7C is authorizing the issuance of tax allocation bonds for the Antelope Square Apartments redevelopment project in an amount not to exceed $5,500,000, introduced by Ward.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Schob. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Ward,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried, 4-0. Item 70 is change of zone 20029, application of Dennis R. Schroer LLC for a change from R3 Residential District to H3 Highway Commercial District on property generally located west of North 33rd Street and Shore Drive, introduced by Ward.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Schob. Any discussion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
McGinnis.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried, 4-0. Item 7E is Street and Alley Vacation 21002, application of NSC LLC to vacate portions of North 27th Street right-of-way and Enterprise Drive right-of-way generally located at North 27th Street and Enterprise Drive, introduced by Ward.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Councilman Schob.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'd like to take a moment to thank Mr. C. Last week we talked about this, and there were a few things said during testimony that confused me to no end. And I relied on him to explain it. He took time out of his day and helped me understand why we were doing what we were doing, what was going to happen with the financing, and I appreciate you greatly. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Any further discussion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 7F is change of zone 21047, application of Advantage Trucking LLC for a change from AG Agriculture District to H4 General Commercial District and I1 Industrial District on property generally located at 4201 West O Street, introduced by Ward.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
McGinnis,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 7G is approving conditional zoning agreement between the city and Advantage Trucking LLC for property generally located at 4201 West O Street, introduced by Ward.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
I have a motion to amend number 1 on this item.
Mr. Carey still here? Mr. C's here. Ooh. Yay.
Timothy, Assistant City Attorney, 555 South 10th. The motion to amend is a substitute agreement. When we, you'll see there's an acknowledgement because of the property is currently owned by someone who's not the applicant. As we looked into that further, it was determined that there are actually 2 owners of the property. They're brothers, I believe. So we amended the acknowledgement to show that there are 2 owners and get both of their signatures. So that's the purpose of the motion to amend.
Any questions for Mr. C?
Move the motion to amend number 1.
Second.
Moved by Councilman McGinnis, seconded by Councilman Schob. Any discussion on the motion to amend?
Thank you, Mr. C. No, just a big thank you.
Perfect. All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, can we please do a roll call vote on the motion to amend?
Ward,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0.
Okay, now back to the main motion. Any discussion on the main motion? Seeing none, may I please call the roll?
Ward,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 7H is change of zone 19031A, application of MBH Land Holdings LLC for a change from AG Agriculture District to R3 Residential District PUD to O3 Office Park PUD and to H4 General Commercial District PUD and from R3 Residential District R3 residential PUD to expand the existing Chateau planned unit development by 107.55 acres for 148,000 square feet of commercial floor area and a 16-pump gas station and a 221 single-family dwellings on property generally located at South 40th Street and Yankee Hill Road, introduced by Ward.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Councilman Schob?
Mr. Chair, I'd like a little explanation. Could we have the applicant explain to us what's going on here?
I'm not the applicant of this. I was at 6C and I didn't know if I still needed to be here.
Oh.
No. 6C?
Nope.
Nope, you are good to go. So that was an ordinance second reading. So for item.
Approved. Okay.
About that, I misunderstood. Would Mr.
Tim C., City Attorney's Office.
Hi, Tim, help me. I'm really confused again. Can you help me, Tim C.? You're my only hope.
All of us, yeah.
We're talking about 7H and 7I, correct? Yeah, so I think you got an email today from the applicant, Mr. Hunziker, or the applicant's attorney, Mr. Hunziker. I think there are some things with respect to the zoning agreement that are being worked out on the developer side, because I think there's 4 different property owners here, so they are working through some things, and asked that these matters, the vote on these matters only be delayed to the January 10th meeting, I believe.
Okay. Okay, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I will make the motion. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we delay items 7H and 7I, that's 21-161 and 21R-566 until January 10th for action.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion on Councilman Shoub's motion? Okay, seeing none, may we please do a roll call vote on the motion?
Shoub,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 7J is an ordinance approving revised district boundaries for the city for the 4 city council districts in compliance with Article 4, Section 2A of the Home Rule Charter of the City of Lincoln, introduced by Ward.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, may I please call the roll?
Shoub,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Item 7K is amending Title 24 of the Lincoln Municipal Code relating to plumbing and sewers by repealing Chapter 24.01 entitled Fire Suppression Systems in its entirety, introduced by Ward.
So moved.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
McGinnis.
Yes.
Shoub.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Section 8 resolutions. First readings are items 8A through 8C. Ordinances first reading and related resolutions is Section 9, items 9A through 9E. Pending list, Section 10, item 10A, and pending list, item 11A.
And today is an open microphone session, so anyone wishing to address the council on a matter not on this agenda and not planned to appear on a future agenda may do so at this time. Individuals are allowed a total of 5 minutes to speak regardless of number of topics. Today is an open microphone session, so if anyone would like to speak, come on up and please start off with your name and your address, please.
Brian Willard, 3801 Rokeby Road. I was administrative assistant at the Salvation Army here in Lincoln. I appreciate it, Councilman Shoub, for putting this stuff on your Facebook page so I could kind of see what goes on here. I was able to say LES was here last week, and they talked a little bit about assistance for poor people and whatnot, and that's a lot of what I did there at the Salvation Army. I actually went out to LES and talked to them too. A lot of concerns. So anyway, 37 months ago, a group of 5 people signed a complaint to the Consumer Protection Division at the Nebraska Attorney General's office regarding the Salvation Army. This group included the former business administrator and the former advisory board chair of the Salvation Army. In this letter, amongst many other things, they complained about inconsistency in Black Hills Energy Heat Share Fund calculations and approvals. 29 months ago, I wrote my first email to Black Hills Energy Program Manager Brandy Johnson, who is also on the Salvation Army's advisory board. I asked her who I should contact in regard to Black Hills Energy Cares programs because it was a complete mess. She didn't respond to me then, nor has she ever responded to me since then. The program takes money from Black Hills Energy. Black Hills Energy takes that money from their customers on their bills. They donate money on their bills and whatnot. And they also solicit money from their workers. They give that money to the Salvation Army, and the Salvation Army is supposed to use that on people's utility bills here. Almost all of the time, that does not happen. When talking with the social service director at the Salvation Army, who, like me, disagreed with the Lincoln Corps majors and was also fired, she said, "I can't stand it when these people are crying and they're cold and they have no gas or electricity." She went on to tell me about a mother who had slept in her car during the winter months with her family because they didn't have heat in the house. The caseworker, also there at the time, frustrated about having to tell everybody no. She ended up resigning. But she had this to say about the boss not allowing her to use Black Hills Energy money when we all knew there was money there. She said, "You know he's lying to you, and he keeps on lying to your face." I think I'm missing something. Okay. So then 26 months ago, the Lincoln Corps took a check for $16,374 from Black Hills Energy Walk for Warmth. This is money to be used for people during the winter months. He took that entire $16,374 and put it in the general account. Once the money's in the general account, he can use it however he wants. He did not put it in the deferred revenue account for Black Hills Energy, which had already had $100,000 of unspent money in it. So there's plenty of money for Black Hills Energy. People are calling in and they're denying them service. They're sending them to community action. They're sending them other places. 21 months ago, I met with Human Service Director for Lincoln Lancaster County in this building, Sarah Hoyle. I also met with United Way's Executive Director, Megan Leisfeld. Some people say Megan, some people say Megan. I met with her on Starbucks at O. I told both of them that we're not using their utility money appropriately either, just like we're not using Black Hills Energy. So Sarah's money would be joint budget committee, so that's coming from taxpayers. Megan Leisfeld's money would be United Way's money, so that's coming from people who donate money to the United Way to be earmarked for the Salvation Army. 2 days later, after going to them, my boss called me into his office and gave me a written notice for violating company policies. 19 months ago, I was fired from the Salvation Army because I was not willing to fraudulently make up reports to the city, the United Way, and FEMA. I was only there for 10 months. We went through 12 different people, fired, resigned, retired. 18 months ago, I started meeting with former employees of the Salvation Army, from the Salvation Army, and former advisory board members at the mill. Now there was 2 different groups of former employees and former advisory board members, all with the same story. So this has been happening for a long time. During the past 18 months, I've written the Attorney General's office on multiple occasions, submitted multiple complaints on their website, and even visited the actual office at the Capitol building. I have also written almost all of our senators, and I filed with the Nebraska Equal Opportunity Commission for wrongful termination as a whistleblower. All of this has gotten me nowhere with the government, and the Black Hills Energy problem is but one of many at the Salvation Army. We have 93 counties in Nebraska, and almost all of them receive $0 in assistance from Black Hills Energy customers. The Salvation Army takes in the money, but they don't give it out. And Black Hills Energy has even admitted this to me. I taped one of them. So I've got that on my website, task67.com. You can hear her admit to it. So anyway, for the past 3 administrations, which ain't very long because they roll through us, the Salvation Army has helped around 200 people each year in the entire state with Black Hills Energy. But Lincoln alone got over $100,000 in one fiscal year from Black Hills Energy. So they're taking all of this money. The lady from Black Hills Energy who I talked to, she said this year they've helped 1,500 people so far, not including November and December, where they'd only been helping around 200 in years prior. She apologized to me and all this kind of stuff. But my concern is all those employees and all those customers who were given money all this time, but what happens to their money? Yeah, you're trying to correct the situation going forward, but they've been stealing money for who knows how long. So anyway, the Attorney General's office and the Nebraska Equal Opportunity Commission have failed to protect the citizens of this city by ignoring whistleblowers. I'm not the first one. They look at the whistleblowers as if we're the bad guy. They want us to go away and not be heard. The truth is not important to these people. There's no logic in this system, and nobody cares. No one is watching. There's no sheriff on duty. These agencies shift blame at a moment's notice, dodge responsibility, and misplace crucial paperwork. Everyone is more interested in personal gain than the plight of the people. This crisis has gone on for far too long as a result of self-serving decisions made by those in authority. This is why I think this is happening. They don't want to give the money back. So, you know, if the public knew that what the Salvation Army was using with taxpayer money, Black Hills Energy customer money, Red Kettle donations, United Way money, Lincoln Community Foundation, Give to Lincoln Day, FEMA, the list goes on, and the public would demand their money back, and the Attorney General's office is willing to sit on their hands and not do anything about it. Why? I don't know. And then the Equal Opportunity Commission is willing to deny all whistleblowers a trial. Marna Munn, I think she's the assistant city attorney now. She got promoted. How, I don't know.
What I will say is we do have a 5-minute time limit for people, and so that went over a couple of minutes ago. And
that's
so,
fine.
Yeah, if you want to wrap up, or
okay, yeah, that's okay, fine.
Perfect.
But anyway, what I'm saying is, Yeah, if the public knew, they probably would demand their money back. Because there's a lot of money going into the Salvation Army here in Lincoln, and there's not a lot of money going out. They do help like children in some of these programs, some of their programs. I do know that they're legitimate, but they're not using it with their own money. They're using it with grant money from the city. So, but like any money you get from a kettle, none of that's going to help people.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak or address the council at this time? Okay, seeing none.
Seeing none, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Ward. Any discussion? Councilman Shope?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to say Happy New Year and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all. And I appreciate you allowing me to serve you this year, and I look forward to doing more in the next.
Any further discussion?
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
All right, let's call the roll.
Ward,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried, 4-0.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year, City of Lincoln. We are adjourned till 2022.